In this installment, we're going to be going over the NBA bets regular season finale here, Sunday, April 14th. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Chef D, and I'm here to give you the winning ingredients for our Sunday NBA bet slate, April 14th. This is the regular season finale for the NBA. Some of these games are very crucial for the play-in spots and playoff positioning, period. All right, but before we deep dive into that, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and Twitter at MetsNetSD. Don't forget about the TikTok at Chef_D91. And don't forget about that Patreon. Right now, we're at the homepage of the YouTube channel, currently at 3.86 thousand subscribers. Our goal is 10K, and we continue to move forward here. Thank you guys for all the love and support. Everyone that is subscribed, continue to like and comment. That helps the YouTube algorithm so I can reach a broader audience. And if you're not subscribed right now, why don't you join the community that we're building on YouTube and on Patreon already? We're all helping each other. It's a village, all right? We're trying to build, and it's not just me, man. Everyone gets to put their input in there. It's a beautiful thing. The comments are popping off. Just continue to do what you're doing. And if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button right now. For the Patreon, if you want, right, since the regular season is over, all right, we're still going to be bringing off playoff plays, but the futures, NBA futures, series futures, that's all going to be in the Patreon. So if you want that access, sign up for the Patreon right now. That link is provided down below. First game up, we have the Washington Wizards 15-66 going up against the Boston Celtics 63-18. Looking at the current odds right here, Boston Celtics minus 450 on the money line with the comeback of the Washington Wizards at a plus 340. The current spread is at a 9.5, and the total is at 223.5. For the public bet percentage, 94% of the bets going towards the Celtics, 76% of the money going towards Washington. For the point spread, 61% of the bets going towards Boston, but 75% of the money is going towards the Wizards to cover the 9.5. And for the total, both bets and money, 94% towards the over. All right. Now, the key component here in this game is the injury report, obviously. All right. So, all the starters for the Boston Celtics are going to be out of this game. No Horford, no Jrue Holiday, no Kristaps Porzingis, no Derek White, no Tatum. We understand this. Boston Celtics had a strong outing last game with their backups. All right. For the Wizards, we have no Kyle Kuzma, no Marvin Bagley. We have a questionable on Jordan Poole, questionable on Anthony Gill, and questionable on Rashawn Holmes. So we're going to wait and see if those guys are going to play. But even against the backups of the Celtics, that shouldn't even matter at all, okay? Now, the two games I want to look at here. This Hornets game here, this was a backup game for the Boston Celtics. They were able to put up 131 points against that poor defense. I see something similar happening to the Washington Wizards because they don't play defense at all either. All right, Wizards, they were going up against some backups against the Chicago Bulls. They wound up losing that game and still put up 127 points. So what that bodes well here is for the Celtics are the Celtics. And especially at home, I expect threes to rain down. Sam Hooser, Peyton Pritchard, those guys are going to get cooking. I like the minus 9.5 for the Boston Celtics to cover, and I like the over in points. There's going to be points in bunches here, and it was good to see some of the backups play in the previous game for both teams. So I have some confidence coming into this game. All right, so Celtics minus 9.5 and the over 223.5. Next game up, we have the Charlotte Hornets here, 20-61, going up against the Cleveland Cavaliers, 48-33. For the odds here, Cleveland Cavaliers, big favorites here, minus 1,000, with the comeback of the Charlotte Hornets at plus 650. The current point spread is at 12.5, and the total points is at 207.5. For the public bet percentage, 92% of the bets are coming in on the Cavs money line. 90% of the money is coming in on the Charlottes though. So majority of the bets, more tickets, but more money because it's bigger payout here coming in on the Hornets, all right? For the point spread, 71% of the bets, 82% of the money on the Hornets to cover 12.5. And for the total, 97% of the bets and money towards the over 207.5. All right. For these two teams, the injury report, Grant Williams and Davis Bertans is currently questionable, as well as Nick Richards, okay? Those are really minor factors there. The main injury report or injury news is the Cleveland Cavaliers. Donovan Mitchell, Karis LeVert, Sam Merrill, all out, and Darius Garland is going to be doubtful, which he's going to be out as well. So this is going to be a backup team here in the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I advise you guys to take full advantage of this current line right now before it drops. All right, plus 12.5 is a great number. About an hour or two ago, it was at 13. It's actually, I think it was at 15. But take advantage of this number now at 12.5 before it comes down to where it's supposed to be, probably in the 4 range. If we're talking about backups against the starters of the Hornets, if they got Miles Bridges and they got Brandon Miller, yeah, give me the plus 12.5 for the Charlotte Hornets, and give me the over 207.5. The Hornets were still pulling up solid points with their remaining team that they have left. And the Cavaliers should be able to knock down some points as well. So that's not even my favorite play. The best play is the point spread. Take advantage right now of the plus 12.5 right now. Next game up, we have the Atlanta Hawks 36 and 45 going up against the Indianapolis Pacers 46 and 35. Let's see. Looking at the current standings here, Pacers can still move up. They are tied, literally. Magic, Pacers, and 76ers are tied. Cavs still need to win that game. I just talked about them. They can still move up. They can move up to at least the 3 spot. They do not have the season series, that series against the Knicks. All right, Knicks have the advantage on that one. But for this Pacers team, they want to make sure they win this game here because they are in a cluster in that 5, 6, 7 range. Okay, so for the odds, we have the Pacers at home minus 1,100 with the comeback of the Hawks at a plus 675. The current point spread is at 14.5, and the total is at 236. Okay, for the public bet percentage, 89% of the bets on the Pacers, and it's 50-50 on the money. For the point spread, 83% of the bets, 84% of the money towards the Hawks to cover. And for the total, 86% of the bets, 84% of the money towards the over 236.5. So that's a huge total there. For the injury report, the Atlanta Hawks, as of right now, we have Jalen Johnson out, Okongwu out, Clint Capella questionable, and Seth Lundy out, and Wesley Matthews is going to be out. All right. So they're missing some bigs down there, but DeJounte Murray and Trae Young, Bogdanovich is going to be there. They got some solid guys. For the Pacers, questionable tags on Jalen Smith, on Obi Toppin, and Isaiah Jackson. Okay. So some key power forwards are questionable for the game for the Pacers and the Hawks. Now, with all the movement here, we don't need to look at the last couple games here. We're going to be going with, I believe that this is going to be a tightly contested game. This is way too many points here for the Indianapolis Pacers to be given. Give me that plus 14.5. I do not believe that they cover this spread here. We have the Hawks that's still starting Trae Young and Bogdanovich and DeJounte Murray. They're trying to get in the flow of things, especially with Trae Young coming back. He needs to come up to speed and be ready for this play-in game that they're going to have against the Chicago Bulls. So I think the Atlanta Hawks are going to play tough. They played tough in that previous game when they faced the Minnesota Timberwolves. That was only a 3-point loss to one of the top-tier teams in the West. So plus 14.5, and give me the over 236.5. Tons of points are going to be scored in this game, in this environment here for the Hawks and the Pacers. They do not play any defense. Next game up, we have the Toronto Raptors 25 and 56 going up against the Miami Heat 45 and 36. Looking at the current odds, huge favorites yet again. That's what you're going to see all slate long on Sunday. These big favorites. You got to decide which teams are going to cover or not. Miami Heat minus 1,600 on money line with the comeback of the Toronto Raptors at plus 875. The current point spread is at 15.5, and the total is set at 221.5. For the public bet percentage here, 92% of the bets towards Miami and 55% of the money towards Miami. For the point spread, everyone's reining in on the Raptors to cover. 75% of the bets, 73% of the money. And for the total, 92% of the bets, 91% of the money towards the over 221.5. All right, the Toronto Raptors injury report. Emmanuel Quickley out. DJ Carton out. We're waiting on news for Gary Trent Jr. and Bruce Brown. They're currently questionable. If those two are out, then I'm going to be really more bullish on the Miami Heat for this game to cover, because the Heat, they're only sitting Terry Rozier. Terry Rozier is out and Duncan Robinson is questionable. If we're getting Bam, Jimmy, Tyler Hero, Jaime Jaquez, Highsmith, all those guys, then give me the Miami Heat to cover this spread. I'm going to give out the -9.5. There's going to be a double-digit win by the Miami Heat. Give me the -9.5. And with the strong defense at home and the fact that the Raptors are a very poor team, they've been giving up since they made the trade earlier in the season. They've just been very poor. We saw a 22-point loss against Miami, a loss against Brooklyn, a blowout loss against the Pacers. No effort here from the Toronto Raptors. So -9.5 Miami Heat, and give me the under. I'm gonna be contrarian here on the point spread and the total, under 221.5. Next game up, we have the Chicago Bulls here, 39-42 against the New York Knicks, 49-32. The Bulls have secured their play-in spot. If we're looking at the standings here, they got the play-in spot. They're going to be the home team here. So they don't really need this game. The Knicks do. The Knicks have the opportunity to move up to the 2 spot. If they lose, they want to make sure they're fine. They would either they'll probably stay at the 3, because if they tied with the Cleveland Cavaliers, they won the season series. So they would no worse than 3, but they can move up to 2. They can move up to 2. So they're going to be motivated to get this spot. And that tells you about the injury report. But looking at the current odds, Knicks are big favorites here, -1,600 on the money line with the comeback of the Bulls at +875. The point spread is at 14.5, and the total points here is at 214.5. For the public bet percentage, 87% of the bets towards the Knicks, 74% of the money towards the Bulls. For the point spread, 88% of the bets and 91% of the money towards the Bulls to cover. And for the total, 97% of the bets and 98% of the money towards the over 214.5. For the injury report for the Chicago Bulls, right now, Andre Drummond questionable, Ayo Dosunmu questionable, and Javonte Green is questionable as well. So we're going to be waiting on news for those 3 key players there. DeMar DeRozan's fine. Vucevic, that's what they're going to be throwing out there against the New York Knicks. New York Knicks, no one of significance is going to be out of this game. We already know about Julius Randle. He's been out for months. All right, so I'm going to be going against the grain here. Knicks motivated in the spot, must-win game, have the opportunity to get to number 2. Chicago, literally, there's no reason for them to even play. So maybe they start the first half and sit their starters in the second. The Knicks have something to play for here. Give me the Knicks to cover 9.5. If you want to take that 14.5, be my guest. But I'm going to be giving out 9.5. And for the over-under, I'll take the over 214.5. Both teams can still put up points. Knicks can knock down threes. Bulls has some solid backup guys that can put up points as well. Next game up, we have the Milwaukee Bucks, 49-32. Orlando Magic, 46-35 here. Looking at the current odds, Magic are home favorites here, -190 with the comeback of the Milwaukee Bucks at a +155. The current point spread is at a 4.5, and the total is set at 214.5. For the public bet percentage, 59% of the bets and 48% of the money towards Orlando Magic. Okay, for the point spread, 61% of the bets and 56% of the money towards the Bucks to cover. And for the total, 97% of the bets and money towards the over 214.5. All right, major news here for the Milwaukee Bucks. Obviously, Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to be out for the rest of the regular season, so this last game. But Damian Lillard is going to play in this game, okay? So if we're looking at the standings, yet again, like I said, Bucks do still have something to play for. They might want to make sure that they lock up that 2 spot, all right? Do they want to play the guessing game of who's going to be 7 or 6 and 7? Because that's what they're fighting for. There's either the 2 and the 3, and that's what matches up the 2 and the 3, which is the 6 and the 7. All right, so Bucks probably just want to get this win here. That's why they're playing Damian Lillard, and they want to make sure they stay above the New York Knicks. All right. So for the injury report of the Orlando Magic, we just have a questionable tag on Wendell Carter Jr., their starting center. All right. If he's out, then it's going to be Giga Batadze that's going to be playing major minutes here. So for the Orlando Magic, looking at the standings, like I said, they were that group there that want to stay in that 5 spot. They do not want to fall down and have the possibility to facing the Knicks or the Bucks. Yeah, the Knicks or the Bucks, because they are tied right now between the Pacers and the 76ers. So they want to stay in that 5 spot there. That's the worst that can happen. They could just stay where they are currently. So we're going to be taking the Orlando Magic to stay in a spot where they want to be in. Give me them on the money line at home. And for the over-under, give me the over 214 points. I looked up a stat. The Milwaukee Bucks without Giannis Antetokounmpo still put up 111 points per game. Plus the fact that I said Magic are going to win, I think that they're going to be able to cover this 214.5 point spread as well. So Magic money line and over 214.5. Next game up, we have the Brooklyn Nets here, 32-49, going against the Philadelphia 76ers, red hot Philadelphia 76ers here. Big favorites. Yet again, Sixers are minus 1,400 on the money line with the comeback of the Brooklyn Nets at a plus 800. Point spread is at 15.5, and the total is set at 213.5. All right, it did go up. It was at 212. Now it's at 213. For the public bet percentage, 93% of the bets and 61% of the money towards the 76ers. For the point spread, 72% of the bets and 64% of the money towards the Nets to cover. And for the total points here, 97% of the bets, 98% of the money towards the over 213.5. All right. For the injury report of the Brooklyn Nets, they're going to be missing a lot of guys here. No Dennis Smith Jr., no Dennis Schroeder, no Day'Ron Sharpe, and no Cam Johnson. All those guys are going to be out of this season finale. And for the 76ers, we do have to wait on news if we're going to touch the spread here. We need to make sure that Embiid, KJ Martin, and Kyle Lowry are going to play in this game, and DeAnthony Melton. So all those guys are currently questionable for this final game on Sunday. And that's the main factor there for the point spread. I already feel fine with taking the over 213 points, but if we get confirmation on Embiid, if Embiid plays, then we're going to take the 76ers minus 9.5. That's what we're waiting on. We see Embiid playing, we take the double-digit win. Okay? If we don't, then we take the Nets to cover the spread. All right? That's what we're going to be playing. Make sure you pay attention to RotoWire. I provide that link down below. Next game up, we have a crucial game here. According to the standings here, LA Lakers 46-35 going up against the New Orleans Pelicans 49-32. Looking at the standings before I get into the odds here, we have the Pelicans as the 6th seed, okay? They cannot move up, all right? Dallas Mavericks have the division. So if they tied record, it wouldn't matter for the Pelicans, okay? But if the Pelicans lose and the Phoenix Suns win, then the Pelicans could fall down to the 7th spot and the Suns could move up to the 6th. But it all depends. Like, do you want to do that? Because it worked out perfectly here. The 1, 2, and 3 seeds have still not been determined yet. All right, still have not been determined. So you don't know if you're going to get the Nuggets, the Wolves, or the Thunder for these teams at the 6, 7, 8. So it's insane how it came down to this for the final game here of the regular season, and it really it can change the whole complex of the Western Conference in seeding. All right, so looking at the odds, minus 165 on the money line for the Pelicans with the comeback of the Lakers at a plus 150. Point spread is currently at 4.5 points, and the total is set at 228.5. All right, for the public bet percentage here, 51% of the bets and 85% of the money towards the New Orleans Pelicans. The spread, 79% of the bets and 80% of the money towards the Lakers to cover. And for the total, 94% of the bets and money towards the over 228.5. For the injury report, You know this is a crucial game. So that means we know about LeBron James and we know about AD. Both of those guys are going to play in this game so they can make sure they hold on to that 8 spot. All right. For the New Orleans Pelicans, we're waiting on news for Najee Marshall and Brandon Ingram. Both of those guys are questionable. I hope that they sit these guys. It's going to mess up the chemistry. What the Pelicans are doing now, they're really chucking up the three-point ball, and they've been hitting at a very, very high clip. I think they shouldn't mess what's been working the past couple games, because if we're looking at they've been on a winning streak here, 4 games in a row, playing phenomenal basketball, big wins over Golden State, Sacramento, and the Phoenix Suns there. But if you get Brandon Ingram back in the mix, now you got to reacclimate someone yet again. All right, they've been playing fine of what they had already. So who are we going to choose in this spot? All right, I'm thinking the Lakers are more motivated in this spot here to make sure that they secure that 8 spot and don't play 2 games. You got older bodies here on that team. Like I said, you don't want to play 2 games just to get into that 8 spot and then wind up facing the Denver Nuggets. That'll be horrible. So give me the plus 4.5 for the Lakers and give me the total over 228.5. Both these teams put up big points. Both these teams shoot threes at a very high clip. McCollum hitting threes. Trey Murphy hitting threes. We got the Lakers with all their guys hitting threes. So give me the over and the plus 4.5 for the Lakers. Next game up, we have the Denver Nuggets here, 56-25, going up against the Memphis Grizzlies, 27-54. Denver Nuggets are big favorites here, minus 1,000. With the comeback of the Memphis Grizzlies at a plus 625. The current point spread is at 13.5, and the total is set at 220.5. All right. So this team here, before we get to the public bet percentage, all the injury news here for the Denver Nuggets, all starting 5 are questionable. So we got a similar scenario here. Well, not similar to the Knicks, but they kind of need this game if they want the 1 spot. But let's double check here. If we're looking at, let's go to NBA scores here. We need to see who plays in that 1 o'clock slate. This game starts at 3:30. So if they can get an idea, I don't think they can. I just want to double check here. If we're looking at the scoreboard for Sunday, we're looking for the Timberwolves or the Thunder. I think they all play at 3. Yeah, so they all start at 3 o'clock. So that's perfect. So they can't even cheat and do that. So for the Denver Nuggets here, they're probably going to play their guys, but wait on to news. Wait. Make sure you go to that link provided down below and make sure that they're playing at least Jokic and Murray. At least Jokic. If this Jokic is playing, then we can feel comfortable about the Denver Nuggets. All right. So the spread is at 13.5 for both sides, and the total is set at 220. The point spread, 68% of the bets and 78% of the money towards the Grizzlies to cover. And for the total, 92% of the bets, 94% of the money towards the over 220. All right. For the Memphis Grizzlies, they're playing all their backups. The same guys that they played in the previous game, LaRavia and Gigi Jackson and all those guys. Those are going to be the starters for the Memphis Grizzlies, okay? So what I'm advising here, the Denver Nuggets don't need the blowout, all right? Give me the Memphis Grizzlies plus 13.5. All the Denver Nuggets need is a win, okay? That's all they need. So give me the points of the Memphis Grizzlies. They played a very tough game against the LA Lakers, a team that needed a win as well. They were able to put up 120 points, and they were able to keep this game close. They almost took that game from the Lakers, which was a desperate win for the Lakers to have anyway. So plus 13.5 Grizzlies, and give me the over 220.5. If we get a full starting lineup for the Denver Nuggets, then you can consider the Nuggets to cover. But you got to wait on news, all right? Let's move on to the next one. Next game up, we have the Dallas Mavericks, 50-31, going to be against the OKC Thunder, 56-25. Looking at the odds here, minus 5,000 on the money line for the Thunder with the comeback of the Dallas Mavericks at a plus 1350, all right? The point spread is at a 19.5, and the total is set at 223.5, all right? This is looking like the Thunder want that 1 spot. They are a hungry team right here, and it shows you in the line. It shows you in the line because looking at that injury report, they're not sitting anybody, all right? So public bet percentage. This is where we can find value. Looking at the money line right now, 81% of the bets towards the Thunder, 66% of the money is towards the Dallas Mavericks. The point spread, 88% of the bets, 93% of the money on the Dallas Mavericks to cover 19.5. That's very intriguing right there, right? For the total, 94% of the bets and 94% of the money towards the over 223.5. Now, for the injury report of the Mavericks, they will be sitting no Luka Doncic, no Kyrie Irving, no Daniel Gafford, no Dante Exum, no Maxi Kleber. So they're sitting all their main guys, all right? And that's the key of that team there, all those main guys. So there's a whole bunch of backups going up against the starters of the OKC Thunder, okay? And then we got for the Thunder, just Josh Giddey, currently questionable. So they're going to be starting their main guys here for the OKC Thunder. Now, my reasoning of taking a spread is what I showed you before, with almost 90% of the money on the bets and the money on the Mavericks, expecting them to cover that spread. I like when I see a big total, and usually people get too afraid. You see this in college basketball or college football, a team like, oh, minus 30. There's no way they can cover that. Well, guess what? This team is that good, and they are going to cover that. Give me the Thunder minus 19.5. I won't even give you 9.5. Give me the minus 19.5 of the OKC Thunder, and give me the under 223.5. I think Thunder can put up points and blow out this team. Dallas with all those backups, they're not going to be able to put up points here and struggle. I believe they struggled in the previous game before, but yeah. So against Detroit, they only scored 89 points. It's the same backups. 89 points against the Detroit Pistons. So that's my reasoning there. Give me minus 19.5 and the under 223.5 for that game. Next game up, we had the Detroit Pistons 14-67 going against the San Antonio Spurs 21-60. Spurs at home are minus 225 with the comeback of the Detroit Pistons at plus 185. For the spread is set at 5.5, and for the total, it is at 213.5. For the public bet percentage, 94% of the bets towards the Spurs, 80% of the money towards the Pistons. For the point spread, 54% of the bets and money towards the Spurs to cover. And for the total, 95% of the bets and 97% of the money towards the over 213.5. All right, but we have major and key injury news for the Spurs. The Spurs injury report here. Victor Wembanyama, his season is over, all right? So his rookie campaign is done. He did what he needed to do. He had that big win against the Denver Nuggets, and that was his farewell, okay? Malachi Branham is currently questionable, but that's the heart and soul of this team here in the San Antonio Spurs, Victor Wembanyama. So that's a big factor of what I'm going to decide here. For the Pistons, Cade Cunningham is doubtful. Jalen Duren is questionable. And Simone Fontenecchio is out, all right? So this team here, this backup team in the Detroit Pistons, I just talked to you about them, about when they faced the Dallas Mavericks. They won against the Mavericks, and they had the backups, okay? So what we're going to be going with this game here, give me the plus 5.5 for the Pistons. I like them, and they have a possibility to upset here. So give me the cover of plus 5.5. And for the over-under, give me the over 213.5. Detroit Pistons can put up points, and San Antonio Spurs can, even without Victor Wembanyama or without Cade Cunningham. But I do think Detroit Pistons eke out this win, just similarly like how they beat the Dallas Mavericks against their backup. So Pistons plus 5.5, that's too many points. Next game here, we have the Portland Trail Blazers 21-60 going up against the Sacramento Kings 45-36. Looking at the current odds, another big spread here. Kings minus 1,600 on the money line with the comeback of the Trail Blazers at a plus 875. Point spread is at 16.5 and the total is at 212.5. For the public bet percentage, 96% of the bets, 60% of the money towards the Kings. For the point spread, 83% of the bets, 82% of the money towards the Trailblazers to cover. And for the total, for the total, 96% of the bets and 98% of the money towards the over 212.5. For the injury report, Trailblazers going to be sitting a lot of guys, all right? Jeremy Grant out, Jabari Walker out, Anthony Simons out. Scoot Henderson is trending down. He's questionable. And DeAndre Ayton trending down towards questionable. For the Kings, they're going to be starting all their starters. Malik Monk and Kevin Huerter out for the year. We already know about that. All right. Now, the Kings here, if we're looking at the standings, they are the 9th seed. They want to make sure they secure that home court against the Golden State Warriors. Okay. So that's going to be key there that they win this game. So the question is the point spread. I'm going to be taking the Sacramento Kings in a must-win game here with against some backups at a -9.5. I do not feel comfortable with the 16.5. So technically, you could take the Trailblazers at plus 16.5 for a better value. So I'll give that out. Trailblazers plus 16.5. But for the over/under, we're going to take the over 212.5. All right. So Trailblazers to cover this big spread. I do not trust the Kings to cover because they do not play defense, and give me the over 212.5 in this spot. All right. Next game, we have the Phoenix Suns here, 48-33 against the Minnesota Timberwolves, 56-25. Crucial spot here for both teams. If we're looking at the current standings, the Suns are 7. They can move up to the 6, have the possibility to move up to the 6. And for Minnesota, this is a crucial game if they want that number 1 seed. Okay. So, looking at the current odds, -135 on the money line for the Timberwolves with the comeback of the Phoenix Suns at a +110. The current point spread is a pick'em at a 1.5, and the total is at 216.5. All right. For the public bet percentage, 72% of the bets on Timberwolves, but 81% of the money towards the Suns. For the point spread, 68% of the bets, 66% of the money towards the Suns to cover. And for the total, 95% of the bets and money towards the over 216.5. All right. For the injury report, the Suns are pretty healthy. But for the Minnesota Timberwolves, Anthony Edwards and Karl-Anthony Towns are currently questionable. Wait on final news if they're going to play in this final game here. Maybe they might concede and just be fine with whatever falls. Okay, but just wait on news to get confirmation on that one. All right. So what I'm going to be going with here. I like what I saw out of the Suns in that previous game against the Sacramento Kings. That 1-point win. That was a big win for me because I saw the Suns play defense. Okay, I finally saw the Suns play defense in that game. We saw Minnesota Timberwolves getting Karl-Anthony Towns back, struggling against the Atlanta Hawks team there. They still have to get acclimated with Karl-Anthony Towns back in the mix. All right, it was a long hiatus for Karl-Anthony Towns with his injury. So they're probably going to get back in here into this game and try to get things going for the playoffs. As a little trial here, but the team that's clicking on all cylinders right now, give me the Phoenix Suns on the money line here, and give me the give me the under 216.5. I expect defense. This is going to be a playoffs atmosphere type of game here. Give me the under 216.5. We're going to be contrarian against the public in this particular game. Okay. Next game up, we have the Houston Rockets here, 40-41, going against the LA Clippers here, 51-30. Looking at the current odds, we have the Rockets as slight road favorites here, -135, with the comeback of the Clippers at a +110. The point spread is a pick'em at 1.5, and the total is set at 219.5. For the public bet percentage, 69% of the bets, 89% of the money towards the Clippers. For the point spread, 83% of the bets and money towards the Clippers to cover that 1.5. And for the total, 94% of the bets, 95% of the money towards the over 219.5. For the Clippers, they are solidified in their spot at the number 4. So they technically do not need this game here. They clinched the division as well. So they're fine where they're at. They don't need to play any of their stars. That's why if you're looking at the injury report, Kawhi Leonard out, PG3, Paul George is currently questionable, and we're waiting on news about James Harden. He's questionable as well, but Kawhi Leonard is out. Paul George might be out as well. All right. For the Rockets, they've been sitting Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks in the other game, in the previous game. They've been starting more of the rookies and Jalen Green. Okay. So Rockets had a big win against the Portland Trail Blazers, still putting up a solid amount of points and beating the Portland Trail Blazers by 9. All right. Clippers, like I said, they don't need this. You saw them lose the last 2 games. They lost to the Phoenix Suns, and then they lost to the Utah Jazz and a bunch of backups. So That already tells me what I want in this spot here. Give me the Houston Rockets on the money line at minus 135. And for the total, give me the over 220 and a half, over 219 and a half. I'll take the over in this game, scoring wise. Last but not least, we have the Utah Jazz 31-50 going up against the Golden State Warriors 45-36. Looking at the current odds here, you got the Warriors at a minus 350 on the money line with the comeback of the Utah Jazz at a plus 260. The point spread is at 8.5, and the total is at 222.5. For the public bet percentage here, 95% of the bets, 90% of the money towards the Warriors. For the point spread, 66% of the bets, 69% of the money towards the Warriors to cover 8.5. And for the total, 96% of the bets and 97% of the money towards the over 222.5. For the Utah Jazz, Colin Sexton is going to be currently questionable. Chris Dunn questionable. Walker Kessler out. All right. Actually, Chris Dunn out and Walker Kessler out. Colin Sexton is the only one that's questionable in this game here. For the Golden State Warriors, all their guys are questionable. We still do not have any information on Curry, Klay Thompson, Chris Paul, Draymond Green, and Jonathan Kuminga. So this team here in the Warriors are locked in at that 10 spot, okay? And the way that they set it up is they have the Kings and the Warriors playing at the same exact time. So there's no like, hey, we're not going to try since they already won, or vice versa. So stay tuned to news. Make sure that the Warriors are starting the starters. But the best value here is going to be the Utah Jazz in the plus 8.5. I saw a Utah Jazz team here with backups beat Houston and beat the LA Clippers. All right. They got the kid Lofton there scoring 20 points. They're still fighting it. They don't care. It doesn't matter to them. The Warriors, they messed up losing that game against the Pelicans. That's why when you're looking at the injury report, you're seeing everyone questionable. So the best value on the board right now is going to be the Utah Jazz at a plus 8.5, maybe with the possibility of winning, because they already tied with the Kings and they got the advantage, but they would need the Kings to lose and then the Warriors win. But looking at their matchup, the Kings should win easily, okay? Because they're starting their starters no matter what. All right, so what we're looking at here, plus 8.5 for the Utah Jazz. And give me the under 222.5. I don't expect some starters to play. It's going to be ugly. Give me the under 222.5 in this particular spot, all right? So that is going to be our selections for the regular season finale of the NBA season. Let me know in that comment section down below if you have any other leans. If you have any props that you want to talk about, post it down below, and I'll definitely love to comment and debate with you guys. Coming up next is going to be obviously playoff basketball, and we're going to be transitioning as well to MLB, okay? So continue to flow in and show love, like, comment, and subscribe. And also, do not forget that Patreon link if you want winning future bets for the playoffs for MLB. Sign up for that Patreon. MLB is that's going to take some time. We're getting things cooking with MLB, all right? Right now, I'm still in NBA mode. MLB, I try to pop in, but once we get more information on a lot of these teams, then we can start rattling off parlays like we do with the NBA, all right? So that link is provided down below. Peace out.